so now that we've done a facing operation in order to square this, and we've done a center drilling operation, the next thing we want to do is support our part in the chuck, like so. We're going to use our chuck key to tighten here. And by supporting the part and engaging in the holder here, live center, we've made it so that it's fairly centered. It's not perfect, but it's close. And for most operations, we don't need to go beyond. But if we do, we have to indicate using an indicator and a magnetic base to make sure that we're centered. Okay, so I'm going to tighten this up. And the next thing I want to do is make sure that I can get all the way off my part. And I can't. So there's two things I can do. Either I can make it so that this quill stands out further, or I can back off my compound rest that's on an angle until I'm off my part. Uh-oh, I can't quite get there. So what I'm going to do is make it so that I've got a little bit more room. Now I can get off my part. The next thing I want to talk about is tool height again. When we were facing, I could see the center of my part, and I could set it by eye so that it was very, very close to center. For this eye, either we have to measure the distance here to center and then transfer it to our cutting tool, or because this is a radius, if I touch off on this precision scale, if it tilts it this way, my cutting tool is too high. If it touch off and goes this way, my cutting tool is too low. When I move in, I just very carefully apply a little bit of pressure. Right now, it's tilting this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop it a little bit, okay? See here, I'm making sure it's touching. I loosen off, I move it down a little bit, tighten it up again, come in and touch. It's still leaning forward a little bit. Do I have to move it down or up? What do you think? Let's see. Oh! Move it down a little bit more. That's just about straight up and down now. I don't know if you can tell by the angle. I'm going to give it just a little tiny bit more. Down. That's got her. All right, so the next thing I want to do is check my feed rate. Before I ever touch off on this aluminum, I want to make sure that my feed rate is adequate. So I'm going to start the machine up. After I make sure that the live center is touching and not able to spin it by hand. Start the machine. I engaged the feed mechanism and I saw that it's feeding fairly slowly. It's not going to be very aggressive. So I'm going to reset this right now for a little bit faster feed rate. You notice the little shiny spot that I just made? I touched off. Now I measure my part using a micrometer. And it tells me I'm at 0.995. That's 5/1000ths of an inch under a 1-inch diameter. Darn it, I cut the wrong material for the hammerhead handle. We want to make sure that we have enough material on the outside diameter to be able to do a few test passes and make sure that we're at the right size. That doesn't matter for us though, because what I'm doing is I'm showing you guys how to remove material from the outside diameter. So the next thing that I'm going to do, I've checked and I've seen 0.995. I'm going to tell this machine that I want to go in 20/1000ths of an inch. And then I'm going to take a cut by turning on the feed mechanism. So the next thing I want to do is I want to measure my part again. You saw me measure at one end over here, and I got 0.995. Right now, I should get 975 and 3 thou oversized. That 3 thou is because of a little bit of spring in this machine. It's not a big deal. You guys have to accommodate for that little bit of spring. Sometimes it might go deeper than you think. Well, make sure that when you take cuts, for the first few passes, you allow yourself a little bit of room for error so that you can get a feel for the machine that you're on. The next thing I want to do is check over here at the other end of my part. And it is 0.02 of an inch smaller here than it is over here, which means there's a little bit of back taper on my part. For this exercise that you guys are doing, 2 thou of back taper over 2 inches might interfere with your tolerances. You might have to do some adjustment. Typically on a piece of aluminum like this, that's a nice long part that has very low tolerances, I would probably just use something called a lathe file to file off the high side to make it so that it matches the low side.